All right, so we're here at the end of day 4 at Big Fish Bay. Okay, so we were here earlier in the week on day 2, and I showed you my tackle bag. I showed you, why I use this to carry it around the ponds. It's a lot easier, but in the inside is what really causes, is what I use to make sure that I can catch fish. And so, remember I told you that Jesus called his disciples and he said, I'll make you fishers of men. And you've been learning about Jonah this week, how God used a whale, a big fish, to cause him to understand that he needed Jesus in his life and needed God. So today I want to try to share with you just very briefly some things that I use, and maybe we can also share with you how we can use those same things in order to be good fishers of men. Because once we are saved, and once we know Jesus, and once he is in our life, then the best thing we can do, as Pastor Cal's mentioned this week, and I'm sure your teachers have as well, that we need to tell others, and we need to go and catch more fish, catch more men and women, boys and girls, to let them know that Jesus loves you. Okay, so one thing about, I usually fish for one type of fish, and that's bass. I love to bass fish. But bass, depending on what day it is, what time of day it is, what time of the year it is, you use all different kinds of bait to catch them, because sometimes they just won't eat certain things, so you got to know what to use. And that's the way with people. People are different, and everybody's different. So we got to know what to use. So if I kind of look into my bag here, look into my tackle bag, I've got tons of different kinds of hooks. And many of you know what hooks are, but I've got real tiny ones. I've got tiny ones, and it's hard to see, I'm sure, but I've got real tiny hooks. I've got bigger hooks, and of course, I've got really big hooks. I don't know if the cameraman can zoom in. Probably not. It's probably too far away. I've got really big hooks, and I've got sinkers, and I've got all kinds of different types of hooks, different ways to catch the fish. But you got to have a hook. You got to have a hook to catch a fish. And most, in the Bible they use nets, but you'll even find that they use hooks and stuff too. But when we catch fish, we got to have a hook. And the best way to hook somebody when you're trying to tell them about Jesus is to tell them what Jesus has done for you. You want to get them hooked. You want to get them excited. And when you start telling them about how wonderful Jesus is, then they'll be hooked, and you can hook them. So make sure you use a hook, okay? And then we got different kinds of, these are called lures. And some of my favorites, and you'll get a kick out of this, these are frogs. I love using frogs. Frogs are really good in the early morning or late in the evening in the summertime. And you can bring them right across the top of the water, and those fish can't resist it. I got all kinds of frogs. I got a brown frog. I got a dark brown frog. I've got a bright green frog. And I even got, it's not a frog, but it's a little fish. It looks like a little fish. And when it's on the water, it looks like it's injured. And so that's what attracts those fish. And then I got other little, let's see here. This little thing here looks like a crawdad. So we tried all these things depending on where we're at, where we're fishing. We use them to try to attract fish and to try to catch them. You got to be very, very careful, because there's sharp hooks on these things. Now look at this. This one even looks like a little fish. And this is really cool, kids. Okay, this little thing has a tail and it spins. And when it goes through the water, it makes a little sound. It goes plop, 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 like that. Okay? So you guys are probably laughing and thinking, why in the world is Assistant Pastor Brian telling us about different kinds of fish? Well, here's the reason. All these things are used to attract fish, to catch them. So remember, I have all different kinds of things. And I didn't even show you I mean, I've got tons of these plastic worms, and these are all different kinds of worms, different colors, because it just all depends. One day, those frogs might not be working, but the worms might be working. So it just all depends. So all those things I use to try to attract fish. Now you say, well, what does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with people? Here's what that does. What that does is there's all different kinds of people out there, just like fish. And you have to find what works to catch them. So that means we have to attract them. And the best way to attract them, here's the key, is to love them. Let people know that you love them. Let people know that you're praying for them. And when you show somebody that you care, then you can show them Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's my challenge for you today, is to tell somebody you love them. And especially if they don't go to church, ask them to come to church. Say, I love you and I want you to go to heaven with me, and I want you to come to church. Maybe it's a mommy or daddy, or maybe it's your grandparents, maybe it's a friend or a sibling, whatever that might be. Ask them to come to church. And we can surely do anything we can to attract them and bring them in, okay? So I hope you've had a great day today, and I hope you've asked Jesus into your heart, and I hope you're celebrating Big Fish Bay. We'll be back tomorrow to finish it out, okay? But I hope you've enjoyed day 4 here at Big Fish Bay. We'll see you tomorrow.